Welcome all to our town hall, and we have two surprise guests here. We have both of them are candidates that Sierra Forward has endorsed. We have Neva Parker, who's running Assembly District 5, and Jessica Morse, who's running in Congressional District 3. And so while we're waiting for Congressman Swalwell to join us, Jessica, how's it going?
Thanks, Corley. The campaign's going great. We are out canvassing every weekend, knocking on doors, talking to voters, and we are getting exciting national support. Congressman Swalwell has been one of my early and most stalwart champions. But also recently we had our future Senator Adam Schiff come out to the district for an entire day and help us talk to voters in Roseville, Auburn, and Truckee. And today we even have John Bowser Bauman from Shanana, who is out helping us lead the way. But the district is the race is going really well. Kiley has tied himself in a knot on women's reproductive rights. He is now pushing a national abortion ban. He is pushing the Life at Conception Act, which is one of the most strict on the books that would including to banning all abortions. It would ban IVF and potentially have impacts on contraception and miscarriage. And so he is dangerous for women in our community. And so we are out there telling voters about that. Remember, our district is 65% pro-choice and 63% anti-Trump. So Kiley, who is a self-proclaimed MAGA champion in Congress, is somebody who is on the wrong side of this community. And this is a community that is yearning for public service. And so I have been so honored to be able to step up and be that public servant. I have been honored by everybody's investment in this race. We have now raised $1.8 million so far for the campaign. 90% of our contributions, incredibly, are people chipping in less than $100. So this is a grassroots driven campaign. It is our community leaning in and ensuring that they are having their voices heard. And what I am seeing out on the doors and in talking to voters, that as soon as we unmask Kiley for the extremist he is and remind them that I am a public servant who is delivering wildfire solutions to the community, they are with us. So it's exciting. The other thing that's pretty phenomenal right now is that in our ballot, maybe one of the few spots in California, voters will be able to vote for women almost up and down the entire ticket now, from White House all the way down to school board. And so I am the only woman in California flipping a competitive House seat, and we are seeing women across the state leaning in, demanding that in a year where women's reproductive rights are on the line, that we have a woman bringing it to Republicans so that we can stand up for ourselves. And so it's going to be a huge. We're going to see the power of women in this election, and we're already starting to feel it.
Great, and you're obviously on the road because you're campaigning where? Where are you campaigning?
We're up in Nevada City right now, and I'm about to go on stage with the lead of Shanana. And so we are doing a senior road show right now because sadly Kiley has a 0 rating from the PACs that support Social Security and the Alliance for Retired Americans, which is apparently very rare for any member of Congress to strike out fully on Social Security and senior issues. And so since our district has a lot of seniors, we've been hitting retirement communities and getting the seniors on board.
Great. I went to his thing. He did that with you before. And so I went just because I was a huge Shanana fan. And it was fun to see him.
That's how we're getting a lot of people on board. People who are nostalgic for the 70s. Except he put it right. He's like, we want the music of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, but we don't want to go back to the policies.
That's a good line.
Looks like Eric is on. Corley.
There he is. Welcome, Congressman Swalwell.
Hey, thank you, Corley. Hey, Les.
Hey,
hey, Jessica.
Hi, Eric.
And Eric beat Neva Parker, who's our assembly candidate up here too, so she's on there.
Yes, yeah. I'm so glad to join you.
So Eric, you missed Jessica singing your praises and appreciation for all your support. She just gave us a brief update on her campaign while we were waiting for you to join. But I know you're on a very tight schedule. We really appreciate you squeezing us in. So just want to let people know that if you want to ask a question, there is a little icon at the bottom that says Q&A, and submit your question there. I'll be monitoring that, and then we'll get to a Q&A part towards the end of Congressman Swalwell's remarks. And without further ado, I guess I will turn it over to Les for some brief comments.
Thank you, Corley. And I'll take just a minute to introduce our guest, Eric Swalwell, Congressman from the East Bay, first elected in 2012. A rising star immediately, was appointed to the party Syrian Policy Committee. One of the strongest, toughest, most knowledgeable prosecutor of the case against Trump and Trumpism from his first days since Trump came down the escalator. Importantly for us, Eric has been an early supporter of Sierra Forward, has helped us numerous times, participated in events, helped us raise money, helped Jessica immeasurably in her campaign in 2018, walked precincts in the rain for Bob Durlett in 2016. Just a great friend and a great supporter, and a terrific member of Congress. So Eric, we're honored to have you. It's great to see you again, and we'll let you take it away.
Thank you again, Les, Corley. Yeah, go ahead.
I saw you the other night on MSNBC where you told a wonderful story about the debate and the night your daughter was in the hospital and Joe Biden. And at some point, I want you to relay that anecdote because it's a great story about you and about him. So take it away.
Thank you, Les, and to the team. I'm so excited for Jessica. I mean, she is really the real deal. She knows the district. She knows the issues. She knows you. She knows each and every one of you and what's important to you. And she can win. And I know she can win because most importantly, she's talking to us from the car. And if she was sitting on her couch right now, zooming into this, I think most of us would probably start logging off. But we know that's not who she is. She's out there hustling to win every vote in that district. And she's running, by the way, her own qualifications notwithstanding. And the fact that she doesn't have to do this, again, notwithstanding, she is running against somebody who thinks they are in a Trump plus 25 district in the way that he acts, the way that he votes, the way that he talks. And we're going to give him a very big surprise on November 5 when we elect Jessica Morse to the U.S. Congress. And she can't do it without you. But I'll make this promise to you as well. If Jessica wins, we are absolutely going to see Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. Like that's a guarantee. If Jessica wins, Hakeem Jeffries is the speaker. There's no other, mathematical probability of any other outcome if Jessica were to win. Because that means in other races across the state, we would have won as well. And I also just want to say, I hear not just from folks, in your organization or folks in the district, but oftentimes when I'm in Los Angeles, fundraising, and it's so competitive down there because you have candidates from all over the country going there. You have 4 House seats in the vicinity of Los Angeles that we could flip. And supporters down there are bringing up Jessica Morse. Every time I go down there, they're text messaging me about Jessica. So she's gone mainstream, I would say. It's not just limited to the district. And that's what it's going to take, to have the resources to win. So Jessica, we're all in. Count on us for another contribution, before the end of this quarter. We'll try and turn that around very quickly here for you. And want to just pivot to, why we need Jessica and who she's going to be legislating on behalf of. Of course, it's you, but in a Democratic majority in the Congress, she can be a part of legislating for President Kamala Harris's first term. And boy, I don't know about any of you, but I have slept a lot better in the last couple nights. And I'm very excited about Kamala Harris as our nominee. I'm excited to see who she picks for vice president. I know that no matter who she picks, it's not going to be as awful as J.D. Vance, and we'll talk about him in a moment. But we have 105 days essentially to go, and we've got our work cut out for us. But we can win. The path is there to win the White House, the House, and to keep the Senate. Briefly, I also want to thank all of you for going all in so early for Adam Schiff. He is one of my closest friends. He's a mentor to me and has been with me in so many of these fights that he's led, and I've been by his side. And Les mentioned the Russia interference investigation to both impeachments. Adam has just been in it and leading, and he's going to be our next senator. And you all went in very early for Adam, and he'll never forget it. He talks about you all the time, and you mean so much to him that, as you know, he recently came back up to help Jessica. So he'll always remember your district, and you have done your neighbors a service because you now have a friend in Adam Schiff as the next senator from California. It's to President Biden. It's been a rough couple weeks. I call it Black Swan summer. We've had 3 Black Swan events in the last 3 weeks, from the debate to the assassination attempt to the president deciding not to run, which in my lifetime and Jessica's lifetime, it's the first time that a president has not decided to seek another term when they are able. And so we have an opportunity, though. And to speak just briefly to Joe Biden, he did something that Donald Trump would never, ever do. He put his country first. And the Joe that I know was always going to do that. And as Les mentioned earlier, the Joe that I know not only will be on the Mount Rushmore of Democratic presidents, from FDR to JFK to Truman to Johnson and now Biden, but he was just a decent person. And back in 2019, in the first presidential debate in Miami, I was on the stage with President Biden and now Vice President Kamala Harris. And I almost didn't make it to the stage because our younger daughter, Cricket, had been hospitalized. And she had RSV and had been on oxygen a couple weeks before the debate. And any parent on here knows when you see that happen, your heart just drops right past your stomach and lands at your feet. And I went to that debate eager to make my case, but also, mindful of what had happened to our daughter. I landed the line, the zinger, past the torch, which is a great zinger, by the way, not because I said it, because Joe Biden had said it in 1986. And on the first commercial break after that line, Joe Biden walked over to me, and I thought, oh shit, he's not going to be happy. He didn't look happy, and I wasn't sure if he was going to take a swing at me or what he was going to do, but he wasn't happy. And he looked at me and he grinned. He said, "Nice line, wise ass." And then he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "How's your daughter doing?" As if he could read my mind and knew what I was thinking about. And that's just the kind of person he is. That's the Joe I know. That's the person, the mentor, the friend he's been to Kamala Harris to prepare her to be the next president. So just with a lot of gratitude to Joe Biden, who built roads that our kids will drive on, manufactured chips that will power their phones, and put food on the table to feed families for future generations through the jobs that he created. We're so grateful to Joe Biden. But we have work to do. And now we must shift the focus to Donald Trump. And we have a prosecutor in Kamala Harris who can make that case. that America is never going to hire a 34-time convicted felon, judged a rapist, 6 times filed bankruptcy. And by the way, the last job that he had, he sent his friends to violently storm the office from which he was fired. We're not going to hire that guy. And Kamala is going to make that case. She's going to remind us about the last 100 days of Donald Trump's first and only term. And she's going to tell us about the first 100 days of what she's going to do to protect rights that have been under attack because of the justices that Donald Trump has working out of his palm, to make sure that we expand and protect access to healthcare, that we do everything to keep our kids safe and free from gun violence in their classroom, that NATO does not contract and shrink, but rather continues to show strength and make sure that Ukraine stays in and wins the fight against Russia. I'm very excited for what we have to do ahead. I know you are too, and we're not going to be able to do it without you. And you also know that if you are not working on electing Jessica Morse, you don't have to drive very far to help re-elect Jackie Rosen in Nevada, to help Kamala Harris win a critical state in Nevada. And so any votes that we get in Washoe County are so critical to the equation that we need, as I said, to keep the Senate and win the presidency through Nevada. So you have your work cut out for you. I'm so grateful that you do it. And with that, Les, I wanted to leave about 10 minutes for you all to ask any questions and see how I can help.
Well, that's a great and very inspirational start. I appreciate that. So here's the first question. Bill Woodruff submitted this question.
I know, Bill.
Yeah. Yes, he says hi.
Yeah.
And he wants tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time, Netanyahu's going to address the Congress. Well, what's your take on that? Should he have been invited, and are you going to attend?
He should not have been invited. There's still families of hostage members, over 100, who are still being held by Hamas. I'm going to meet with many of those family members tomorrow before the speech. And frankly, Prime Minister Netanyahu's interests, which seem to me to be really about survival, are not the interests of the Jewish people of Israel or the United States. I say all that, but my job is representative. And the best way I can represent my constituents and make sure that our interests are exerted and understood is to be in the seat. So I'll be in the chamber tomorrow. But my priority is to support President Biden in seeing all of the hostages returned, that once that happens, or as the process of that happens, a ceasefire is put in place. But for the future of, Palestinian children who have lived through, just this nightmare for the hostages and any innocent Palestinian who has suffered, that their future will be brighter because we have achieved a 2-state outcome where Palestinians and Israelis can live with freedom and security, both personally and economically. And so that's, what I'll continue to work on. And by the way, let's not give the Republicans too much credit. In part, what they are hoping for is to have a scene tomorrow that erases their responsibility for what happened so violently on January 6th, and to draw the foul, and then to try and claim that, well, there were protesters at this event that also tried to insurrect against the Capitol, et cetera. That's already been set up, and they're going to hope for the payoff tomorrow. And so we can't let them, have that narrative. But that's very cynically what they're trying to do here. And I say that because you don't invite a head of state to the Congress without consulting the president. That's always been the norm. And this is the second time in my service in the Congress that this prime minister has come without that occurring. And we know why they're doing it.
Thank you for that. Here's a question that I'm sure Jessica would like to know the answer to. How do we convince Speaker Emeritus Nancy Pelosi to designate Jessica Morse as a DCCC nationally supported candidate?
We're working on that every day. And she's heard from me. She's heard from other California donors all over the state. She's heard from you. I told Jessica when we had a conversation, when she decided to run, that she has to run this race as if she'll never go on that list. And not because anything about her, but just because what happened last cycle, where it was perceived that we over broadened the map and we lost seats because of it. And so there's going to be built-in caution this cycle. And I told her, if you think you could still win without ever receiving a red to blue contribution, you should do this. And because she's fearless and fierce, she's doing it. I think as we get closer to the election and as Kamala starts to give us a lift rather than what was happening over the last couple months, people will recognize how winnable this seat is. But if they don't, I just want you to consider that it's not the worst thing in the world that Kevin Kiley didn't see this coming. Because the second she goes on red to blue, it comes with its own liabilities, which is, for starters, he'll be able to raise a lot more money. He'll get a lot more money from super PACs and the Club for Growth outside organizations, and they will just tee off on Jessica. And so I kind of like, if she's not going to be on red to blue, this didn't see her coming, D-Day like attack on this district that you all are leading. So both are outcomes that put her into this seat. And so she's got her head down, she's focused, and I know she's not sweating whether she goes on there or not, because she's focused on what she can control, which is raising more money than Kevin Kiley, having more volunteers, and just having a better case, because she wants to protect freedoms and he wants to restrict rights.
Great. I can't wait. So Sierra Ford has put on some training with the Rural Urban Bridge Initiative and had a town hall not unlike this with Ruby and Jaron wants to know, historically, rural California has felt underinvested by the party in red California. And I guess I live in red California because I followed somebody into my local Safeway that had a bumper sticker that said, "Keep Placer County red." So at any rate, can the party reclaim these areas with new leadership, and if so, how?
Well, yeah, of course, starting with Neva and Jessica, and especially by the way, Jessica, because of her experience in assisting the governor with taking on wildfires, which is just such a existential issue for every person in the district. She knows the community's infrastructure needs, and so she can really speak to that. And she's going to be an advocate for making sure that the Infrastructure and Jobs Act that President Biden, Kamala Harris passed will continue to invest in rural parts of the country, including California. Because Kevin Kiley is so focused on owning the libs, he would never do anything to try and help in that regard. But I do know he's worried, because I had a tour group, by the way, last week. I took him up to the gallery 2 weeks ago. Took him up to the gallery in the House chamber, and he was giving a couple different back-to-back floor speeches. And the folks who I had brought were from the Bay Area, and they had no idea who he was. But one of the teenagers in the group saw that he had this poster board behind him that said, "Keep Tahoe Blue." And he asked, he said, "Oh, is that like an environmentalist, candidate running?" I said, "Well, he is now." Because he's worried about Jessica. But I also thought, and I meant to text Jessica this, you're not allowed to take pictures in the chamber, but of course it's on C-SPAN and we can pull the feed for her. I love the idea of like a meme or a social media post of him standing in front of a sign that says "Keep Tahoe Blue," and then Jessica just tweeting, "Trying." Like we're gonna,
I love it. I love it.
Democratically, we're gonna keep Tahoe blue. We're working on it. So we have a real opportunity on, as I said, on infrastructure and rural investments, because of somebody who's not only talked the talk, but walks the walk in her career.
Okay, I think we have time for one last question. And
by the way, so Jessica, that's Dean's job. Dean Wallace, who's a very adept researcher, can go find that clip. It was about 2 weeks ago on a like 2 Thursdays ago, is when this happened.
We'll-
So two
We'll grab it.
2 Wednesdays ago, 2 Wednesdays or Thursdays, but go grab it. It's a great meme.
Yeah, the irony of Kylie like trying to pretend that he's me is that like he voted against the funding for the Tahoe Conservancy. He voted against all of the funding for the projects that keep Tahoe like blue environmentally. And so we've been using signs that say flip Tahoe blue.
That's
And
good. I like that. I love it. Yeah, so you've got it. He used it on the floor just 2 weeks ago.
that's amazing. Yeah.
I'm going to sneak in one last question, but you can be brief, although it might be a complicated answer. The math on the Senate has not looked good. It's looked to be the most difficult. And how do you see that changing now that Kamala Harris is going to top the ticket?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, in the 6 to 7 seats that we're defending, from Pennsylvania to Ohio and Wisconsin, and an open seat now in Michigan, and then Arizona and Nevada, we've got terrific candidates, whether they're incumbents like Sherrod Brown and John Tester, who are so out of central casting for who you would want as a Democratic candidate running in those seats, to Ruben Gallego, my best friend in the Congress, someone whose wedding I officiated, first in his family to go to college, served while he was at Harvard, leaves Harvard, goes to Iraq as an enlisted Marine, and comes back and fights for veteran issues. We've got great candidates. We will do no worse because Kamala Harris is now at the top of the ticket. And in fact, I think she is going to bring into our party and to the ballot box on November 5 a force of young people who had effectively been in an election coma and did not want to wake up and think about 2 candidates that they did not like. And now they're so excited that you're seeing trends like Kamala is a brat, or Kamala is brat, B-R-A-T. Go look it up. I'd like to think I'm one of the younger ones in Congress. I still had to go look it up, but young people are so energized about Kamala Harris. And if you think about it, in part, it's as simple as she looks like them. The 18 to 30-year-old generation is the most diverse generation ever in America, and many are biracial. And so this, African-American, Indian-American, candidate who, has, a sense of humor, doesn't take herself so seriously, likes to dance, and likes to laugh, they're leaning into it and they like it. And I've always thought in politics, the most important thing is, do people like you and do they trust you? And I think she passes both of those tests, and I think that helps us in the Senate. So thank you all again for what you're doing. As I said, there's a path to do this. It's a country, worth doing it for. And I think about my 7-year-old, 5-year-old, 2-year-old, and you see behind me, my 7-year-old asked how elections work just the other day. So even that young person is now kind of awakened to what's going on. And if we get this right, that generation will only know what we tell them about these dark days of Donald Trump. And we can all play a collective role in taking Trump to the trash and writing a better future. I'm all in to do that. You're all in to do that. And I'm so grateful that you asked me to be a part of this tonight.
Great. Well, thank you for your participation. I know you got to go, but we really appreciate your making time for us.
Of course. Thank you all.
Thanks, sir.
And you might have noticed that Jessica also had to drop off because she has an event to go to in Nevada City now. But we did get to hear a good update from her. And if you're looking to help her out, just go visit morseforcongress.com. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Neva now and have her give us an update on how things are going on a less national and much more local level.
Yeah, well, hello. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm so grateful. I was with Jessica and Bowser this morning at the Senior Roadshow, and that was a lot of fun. It was a little bit of a full circle moment for me because my sister and I, when we were kids, loved Bowser. He was our favorite. And so we would walk around pretending we were Bowser. So it was a nice, good morning. And I'll be with them tomorrow in Lincoln and also in Auburn in the afternoon. So that's sort of kind of what we're doing at the moment. Again, like I said, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here to speak and just give you an update on the campaign and to hear from Representative Swalwell. The concern, and I guess what's really been kind of on the top of my mind lately with everything that's changed just within the last, what, like 5 days, 6 days, hasn't been very long, is I was, you know, like concerned for our future, but I am actually at this point not scared anymore. I'm energized, I'm excited. And that's what I hear from everybody I talk to is all of the excitement about what is to come. So we're just sort of riding on that momentum at the moment. To give you a little update on my opponent, though, he's not particularly very happy about it. He already went right in once Harris had announced that she was running. He went right in for her, just started spreading all of the lies he possibly could, jumped into the MAGA world, and he just started doing his thing, which is his thing is to pretend that the world doesn't exist and just tell lies and sort of live in his own little world. So he started in on her already. And to just kind of give you a little bit of an update in terms of how we're going to deal with that, we're coming at him hard. So we aren't going to play nice. We'll tell the truth. We'll be respectful, but it's time that these guys, Kylie and Patterson, get told that who they are gets told to the world. And so we fully intend on doing that. I'm case in point in this case, I don't know, I've said it before, but I don't know if everybody on this call has heard it. He has had legislation specifically once geared towards utilities being reduced by 30%. That bill was a single sentence. There was nothing to it. It did get heard in committee. And he actually admitted on several occasions that he didn't have any intention of doing anything with the bill. But he did go and complain that the bill never got heard. And he did blame the Democrats for it. But I'm not really certain how he was going to do anything about our utilities, considering he had taken the max donation from PG&E. And so that's what he does. He writes legislation, pretending to do something while on the back end taking the maximum donations from the folks he's supposed to be fighting. So these are the things we're going to talk about. We're going to lay bare who he is. And that's going to take money. That's going to take resources. And so we're in the process of building that right now. So if you want to help us in that effort, you can go to our website, nevaparkerforassembly.com. I'll put it in the chat. We're also working with Jessica's campaign on canvassing. So if you want to sign up to canvass, those are on Mobilize. I'll see if I can put those in the chat. If we end too quickly, I'll send them to you folks. So if you can maybe send them out. The other thing for our campaign, we are doing postcards. We have like a really hefty postcard campaign going. We have a goal of 50,000 postcards. And right now we're at about 15,000 printed, but we have about 8,000 out. So if you're interested in doing postcards, again, I'll put that information in the chat. You just need to email our campaign and we'll get you hooked up. And there are already a lot of folks in the El Dorado County area and in Placer County who jumped on that really good, and I'm really, really grateful for that. The other thing is we're doing phone banking. So if you want to sign up for phone banking, we have that. Our campaign has our headquarter day on Wednesdays. So we'll have phone banking, postcarding, and canvassing. So if anybody is in the area, you want to come to the Rockland area and just kind of hang out with us from like 4 to 6:30, I think that's what we do. And actually you can come in earlier and stay later if you'd like. We'd love to have you. But that's sort of where we're at the moment. Just want to say thank you again for all of the support, for all of the opportunities to just spread the word that this district, we can do it. We need to talk to the no party preference people, and we do need to talk to Republicans, the folks that don't like Trump or might be inclined to vote for me, which will take resources and which will take time and will take courage because, you know, these folks, you know, just telling it like it is takes courage. So I appreciate all of your courage and all of your help. And we will do this. We will work hard and we will do this. So thank you very much.
So I'm surprised that who's running for president has an impact on a state election.
Mm-hmm. You're surprised?
Yeah, so it filters that far down, basically.
Yeah. I mean, because I think it gets, well, for me, it's going to be about people coming out and voting. So, you know, go out and this is exciting because a lot of Democrats in this area, like depending on the election, they don't vote. They don't feel like, you know, why would it matter? We don't win anyway. So they just don't go out and vote. But if they have a candidate, especially a presidential candidate, and I get my name out there, so they're like, oh, we have this presidential candidate, but I heard about this assembly candidate. Let me check on her. I heard about this congressional candidate. Let me check her. At least those folks, they know who I am. They come out and hopefully they'll, you know, if Vice President Harris, you know, galvanizes them, hopefully they galvanize Jessica and I if we do our jobs. So yeah, it does trickle down. It's just kind of really exciting.
Yeah, well, clearly the voter turnout is the critical issue, but I'm surprised it's a campaign issue, but it's an easy thing to campaign on, I guess.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, he made it one, right?
Right.
Like right from the get-go. I mean, he got online and he just started talking. And I think the objective is to really make it a Democrat-Republican thing is what he's trying to do. So look at what the Democrats have done. This is what you've got in this person. And that's really what he does to begin with, is just sort of talk about what's going on in the district. He makes it about party.
Can I, Corey, just make a couple of comments? I met Neva several months ago, well before the primary, and was immediately impressed with her commitment and knowledge. She worked in the legislature in a nonpartisan office. She knows what it takes. Second, going to the topic that they just mentioned, I think that the energy and excitement that Kamala Harris has generated already is going to pay off in these down ballot races in terms of turnout. I think that's hugely important. Third, Neva, I'm delighted that you're really going to take the case to your opponent. That he is ineffective. That point needs to be made. He is MAGA. That point needs to be made, and that I think can be critical. Final thing I'll say is, I guess it was about 3 weeks ago, Neva, when I met with you and your team, your management team, and I told them at the time, Corley, and I've been, as you know, I've been around the block a few times in this business. Neva's got as impressive a campaign team as I've ever seen, not just in an assembly race, but in any race. I'd go into battle in a campaign with that group any day. They're terrific. They're hardworking. They're all volunteers. It is a professional campaign being run by volunteers, and I think that's a real testament to Neva, that she can attract those kind of people, and they are loyal to her and they're devoted to her campaign. And I found that meeting really encouraging because of the level of skill and energy and commitment. And so I urge anybody that has the time to help volunteer for Neva's campaign. So
thank you, Les, very much. I will share that message. They're amazing. They make this fun, they make it exciting, and they're very smart people, and they are all committed to making certain that I win, that Jessica wins, that we all are down ballot, up ballot, everybody there in. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And Neva, I put in the chat your website, nevaparkerforassembly.com, and that's where they would go to also click through to volunteer, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a volunteer form. You can click on that. If you want to do postcards, if you want to do canvassing, just fill it out. We'll get in touch with you right away.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think I'm going to bring this to a close. This has been a fun and very informative session. Neva, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the update, and thank you all for attending, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.